Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the ENT 211 class. Please, you can mute yourself on the other side so that we can hear ourselves. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. You're welcome to ENT 211 class, which is, entrepreneurship. I know you've been waiting for this. University of Lagos, 200 level students. And this is meant for you today so that you can get better understanding of the module that we have sent to you over time. So I am Professor Sunday Adebisi. I will be delivering this module with my colleague, Dr. Idolo Elo, Dr. Onoyemi Oluwakemi, Dr. Ekpeyong, and another colleague of mine who is at Monday, Kufre. So these are the people that will be delivering this today. Let's quickly go so that you begin to understand what ENT 211 is talking about. I will now go ahead to share my slide. It is my belief now that you can now see my slide, and we shall be looking at entrepreneurship and innovation, which is what ENT 211 is all about. So give me a few minutes. All right. So here we are, ENT 211 entrepreneurship and innovation. And we shall be considering some basic things in the module that we have sent to you. Let's go. So in the week one, you're supposed to have, a learned concept of entrepreneurship, what entrepreneurship actually means. So for your benefit to really understand, entrepreneurship. And what are the learning objectives? So by the end of this, we are expecting you to be able to define what entrepreneurship is, to describe the scope and dimension of entrepreneurship, to understand the characteristic of an entrepreneur, and to equally understand the dimension of entrepreneurship. And this will be what will be the outcome of this week one. Let me introduce, entrepreneurship to you in a way, a manner that, will get you excited. If you look at the left-hand side, you will see the picture of a man that is known across Africa, that is known by everyone, and that is known in Nigeria. That man, who was a young man before, at the age that you are listening to me now, or, some of us, maybe lower at that age, is Dangote. That the name that is an household, name today in Nigeria. A young man at 21 years from Kano State, who started just a small trading business and got a loan of 500,000 naira from his uncle. What did he do with that money? He bought and sold sugar, he sold rice, cement. He was delivering goods, to a customer from house to house. That was how he started. And at a point in time, he just noticed that Nigeria was importing almost every product that he himself was selling. Then he saw a very big opportunity. When you look at this now, you see bigger opportunity is put in red. That is, he saw an opportunity that the thing I'm selling to people are not produced in Nigeria. He decided that why is this country not producing what it's eating and is importing it? The next thing Dangote needed to do was to take a bold step. And you see that bold step here again is put in red. That is, he took a bold step. And took a bold step into what? A bold step into manufacturing. And manufacturing so many things to the extent, that he got into the manufacturing of flour and cement. Today, his company is producing cement, his company is producing sugar, his company is producing salt, his company is producing pasta, His company is producing fertilizer. His company is producing petroleum products. He's creating jobs and transforming, industry. And he has become not a giant of Nigeria, but a giant of Africa. Then we need to ask ourselves a question. Aliko Dangote has shown that entrepreneurship will begin with sporting opportunity. Entrepreneurship will begin with sporting opportunity. Class, what did I say? Entrepreneurship begins with what? And doing what? So, entrepreneurship begins with sporting opportunity, taking risks, and creating value that meets what national need. Can we, take this together? Entrepreneurship, begins with what? Sporting opportunity, taking risks, and creating value that will meet what national need. Therefore, we now need to ask ourselves now, this entrepreneurship, what does it connote? And then we say, what is entrepreneurship in layman's language? So entrepreneurship is the process of identifying opportunity, mobilizing resources, creating innovative products or services, and taking risks to generate value and achieve profitability. It involves you identify opportunity, you must mobilize resources, and you must create innovative products. And in the mindset of the people that are trying to do this, it is important that that mindset is open to discovering the problem of the society. The mindset that we do entrepreneurship must be a mindset that is ready to solve the societal problem. And in solving the societal problem, what you do is you must deploy what we call innovative solution. So again, entrepreneurship can be said to mean a mindset, and that process of discovering problems and designing innovative solution that will deliver value to the society and the organization, as the case may be. So the mathematics of entrepreneurship is equal to opportunity plus innovation plus value creation plus risk. I take that again. I said the mathematics of entrepreneurship is equal to opportunity. That is, entrepreneurship is equal to opportunity plus innovation plus value plus creation plus risk. Can the class echo it together? Entrepreneurship is equal to what? Opportunities, innovation plus value plus creation plus risk. That's what entrepreneurship is. So when you talk about it, it is opportunity, innovation, value creation, and risk. So the scope of entrepreneurship, therefore, cut across many disciplines. Every discipline can be converted to entrepreneurship. Technological, this tech-driven solution, like we have in Paystack and Flutterwave and all the digital payment we're having today. Social entrepreneurship that solves social problems like Leap Africa, that is tackle youth development and challenges. Agriculture, that is agripreneurship. Innovative idea to agricultural profit, like farm crowding and crowdfunding, all the rest. Innovation in teaching, that is edutech, educational services, and example U-lesson, example the water edutech services. So all these are the scope through which entrepreneurship can actually cover. Other scope of entrepreneurship include creative entrepreneurship. What did I call it, class? Creative. Corporate entrepreneurship, international entrepreneurship, public sector entrepreneurship, green and environmental entrepreneurship. And what this is talking about, when we talk about creative entrepreneurship today, Nigeria is huge in the creative industry. And for everyone to take decision today to identify opportunity in this space, such person becomes creative entrepreneur, which has to do, with Nollywood, film, music, fashion and brand, and the likes. Innovate, corporate entrepreneurship has to do with established firm. A situation where an established firm is trying to look at how to create internal ventures. And when you look at MTN today, creating Momo, you understand, and Gmail, Google creating Gmail as an enterprise within a firm. We say that is what corporate entrepreneurship. We have international entrepreneurship. That is the one that takes you across the border. That is to say, today, Dangote is already in more than 10 African countries. Public sector, that is innovation within the public sector environment. The digital test collection today, passport application portal, and in the immigration, or the University of Lagos that has created a lot of hubs in its university for the benefit of what the students get into fulfill the entrepreneurship journey. Green environmental entrepreneurship, which has to do, how we take decisions to protect our environment and do that, sustainably with the enterprise orientation like the Sahara Energy Renewable Project. All these are all within the scope of entrepreneurship. And the next thing we discuss is characteristic of an entrepreneur. That is, who is an entrepreneur? There are 8 major characteristics of an entrepreneur. And these 8 characteristics must be had by anyone that want to be an entrepreneur. It is important that everyone that actually want to be an entrepreneur must have these, characteristics. And what are these characteristics? These characteristics begins with vision. An entrepreneur must be a visionary person. It must be someone that has a vision, who is convinced by himself that he actually wants to do entrepreneurship. Creativity. It must be someone that innovation is the primary agenda of what he or she does. Innovation must be very key in the art of anybody that wants to be an entrepreneur. His characteristic must be the fact that he does not want this to remain the way it is, and he wants things to always take a new turn. Passion. An entrepreneur must be extremely passionate. He must be extremely passionate of whatever he's doing. That enterprise that is creating, he must be passionate. Ability to network. Oh, if you say you're an entrepreneur, it is important to know the value of networking, the value of the friend you have today, tomorrow, the value of the person you live with in your hostel, the value of the person you sit together in the classroom. You can be the next person who will help you to take your enterprise and business to the next level. Networking. Ability to network is a characteristic of an entrepreneur. Self-confidence. An entrepreneur must not be dependent on people to validate them. He must be confident of what he's doing. An entrepreneur is a risk taker. It's someone that is ready to take risks. It's someone that is ready, to rise up and take risks because he understands for sure that, look, whether we like it or not, the entirety of what we do in our life is all about what? It's all about, taking risks. Even speaking is taking risks. Eating is taking risks. Driving is taking risks. So an entrepreneur must not be afraid of taking risks, but must take calculative risks that will lead to what? To enterprise creation and profitability. He must be resourceful. An entrepreneur must be someone who can use resources in a way and manner that, the available resources can be used to create big enterprise, and the enterprise that can become, a multinational tomorrow. So resources can never be adequately adequate. Resources can never be sufficiently sufficient. Therefore, the available resources must be used in a way and manner that we have the capability and capacity to help to create what is in your hand. And last but not the least, the 8th characteristic of an entrepreneur is that an entrepreneur is someone that never gives up. An entrepreneur does not give up. That's a very heavy key characteristic of an entrepreneur. It does not give up. It's someone that is extremely resilient. So, for you to be a successful entrepreneur, you must be seen as a very resilient person. And there are dimensions of entrepreneurship which I will just quickly, mention. That is, this dimension describe behaviors, the processes and characteristics that drive entrepreneurial activities. And what are these dimensions? Like we have talked about it, is innovativeness. Innovation is in the art of what? Of entrepreneurship. Creating something that is new or improving on existing product or services. I will see the example of Flutterway that created innovative payment system, despite that we have the banking industry. We talk about risk-taking. It's important, like I've mentioned, an entrepreneur must take calculated risk. We talk about opportunity recognition. You see that there are some things that are recurrent decimal. Anytime we talk about entrepreneurship or who an entrepreneur is, You see that innovation is a recurring decimal, risk-taking is a recurring decimal, opportunity recognition is a recurring decimal, because it is important for you to understand where the problem is, understand the opportunity that is available, and we then are able, to take advantage of this, opportunity. So I would like to say, entrepreneurship begins to identifying the needs that have not been met. Those are the opportunity. Proactiveness. That is to say, you must be able to determine the future. You must be able to say, okay, this is what the future that lies ahead of us, and how do I take advantage of that? Value creation. That is to know at every point in time you must create value that you want to exchange for value. That is to say that your product is the value you are creating, and the money that is paid by somebody that wants to enjoy that value is a value that the person is ready to offer for what you have created. Resource mobilization. Resources is very important. An entrepreneur understands how to gather and manage these resources in such a way that they blend it together to produce something that is big, to produce something that lasts, to produce something that, that is very resilient too, and a business that will live even after they are gone. So resource mobilization is very important. Autonomy, which is independence in decision making and control. An entrepreneur is not afraid to take decisions. He's not afraid to invest. He's not afraid to start that business because he has passion. He has innovative mindset and is ready to do what? To start that, that business, as the case may be. Let's look at this reflection case. Today, there's Tunde who noticed in his neighborhood that people often struggle to find clean, affordable drinking water. And many relied on bottled water, which was quite expensive, which was unsafe, and, and equally, from local sources. He decided to start a small business producing purified bottled water. He rented a small space, bought equipment, hired staff, and marketed his product to local shops and households. Within a year, his business became profitable, and he started expanding into nearby towns. Who can tell me the opportunity that today recognized? What is the opportunity that today recognized? Someone raise up your hand. Okay. Speak out, please. You recognize that there was no drinkable that were available, that very expensive. Yeah, that people struggle to find clean water. He sees it as an opportunity, and there's a gap to fill. What resources did Tunde mobilize to start his business? What are the resources? Okay. He looked for a space, rented a space, apartment, yes. He bought equipment, yes. He hired, staff that will help to market his product. Those were his resources. What risk did Tunde take in this venture? What risk did Tunde take? Okay. The risk of water plus regardless sources around. So the risk that you took, that is that we also provide expense to make affordable. Yeah. Okay, someone. Okay, yes. Okay, took a risk of mobilizing resources because the resources could go what? Could go into the drain. How did Tunde create value for the community? Who can tell me how Tunde create value for the? Okay, why? Creating not only drinkable but usable and affordable water. He opened spaces for food sellers around him to create safe meals for the environment, both in their towns and ones surrounding them. Businesses that need water to survive, pure water to survive, you also begin to thrive in that neighborhood, creating not just employment and small-scale businesses to open, but also improving the health benefits of those around themselves. Okay. Well, thank you very much. So that is that. And for you, you can go do introduction. You can read, Catherine Carpenter if you want to know more about it. But this is just for you, I mean, at the early stage of you understanding what entrepreneurship, I mean, is. So let's quickly move on and see entrepreneurship traits very quickly. Entrepreneurship trait. Yeah, yeah, entrepreneurship traits. One of the things very important for us today that we must know, this is just going to build on what we have just learned, that entrepreneurship is not just about starting a business, it's a mindset and that process that creates value by identifying opportunity, taking risks, and innovating. One thing you must pay attention, repeatedly is that once entrepreneurship is mentioned, there is, a part of value creation, opportunity identification, risk taking, and innovation. This is key. So, that is to say, an entrepreneur, therefore, is an opportunity seeker. So, you can seek opportunity in your discipline. Now, all of you listen to me from medicine, from chemistry, from engineering, from architecture, from music, from art, from name it, education, from environmental sciences, from philosophy. You can seek opportunity in this area and look at problems that that exist, the gap that exists, and how you can fill that gap profitably. So an entrepreneur is a risk taker. He takes risks, whether it should be medicine, philosophy, whatever it is. He looks for what looks like an opportunity and takes risks on them. An entrepreneur is a problem solver. He solves problem and ensure that he solves that profitably. And an entrepreneur is a change agent. It's someone that does not believe that things must be the way it has always been. No matter what it is, things must change. And in changing things, he or she must change it in such a way that will be very benefiting, to the environment. So, when you look at it as an opportunity seeker, there is, an example here, which Sim Chagaya. Sim Chagaya today is someone, that is well known in Nigeria, who, the founder of Konga, that has become one of the serious household, e-commerce giants in Nigeria. He capitalized on market gap and unmet needs that involve market awareness and proactiveness. And, is equally a visionary thinker. That's what an opportunity seeker is. That person will capitalize on market gap. They can see. And you could see what Sim Chagaya did. We used to have Juma. And at the end of the day, Sim came on board, to create Konga. And today it has become one of Nigeria's earliest, e-commerce, giant. So opportunity seeking is not about waiting for, hey, something is going to happen now, that I can know. It's about looking for it, look for frustration, looking for inefficiency around you, looking for what people have not been able to do, and you are doing it. Sim Chagaya did not invent e-commerce. No, he only applied it to specific challenges. And today, you can see the great opportunity in Nigeria market. Again, the calculated risk taker, Dangote, who took risk on everything. He took risk on almost all the manufacturing aspects in Nigeria. And today, he is one of the biggest, a business and entrepreneur in not only in Nigeria, even not only in Africa, even in the world. He's the richest man in Africa. So he understood Nigerian infrastructure deficit. He bet on all the long-term need for production, entrepreneurial risk, is about managing uncertainty and not necessarily eliminating it. But this man, has done that, very well. Again, as a kind of a problem solver and a change agent, I will give you an example of Akintomi Walayemiti, dentists at your door, who is solving the problem of dental care access in traffic every Lagos by launching the first mobile dental clinic. By the side that, in that mobile dental clinic, or whatever, you can walk in there and, get all your problem, at all. Chinedu Azodo, who solved the problem of unsafe informal motorcycle taxis, Okada. You understand? By taking the tech enables safer, energy saving, and more reliable ride hailing and delivery services. And that is Chinedu, that is mass.ng. So the most unsustainable businesses solve a persistent problem. And when you look at Dr. Loayemisi, who rather was supposed to complain about Lagos traffic, next thing she did was to build a mobile clinic to bring the service to the people. So that, at times you may say, let me park here until before the traffic will ease, or let me go and clean my teeth, let me go and do this. And, he has money, from that. So when we talk about being a problem solver, you are a solution-oriented, someone who is focusing on fixing inefficiencies and driving change. And this is very, very important. So there is only the question of whether entrepreneurs are born or whether they are made. And it has always been the fact, it's been a very serious argument. One thing very important is the fact that you can find some of these traits, in different people. And there's what we call the natural trait, which is talking about the born argument, whether entrepreneurs are born. Some people have high energy, they have natural charisma, they have, the tendency for high risk, for almost everything. They have some kind of inherent quality of resilience, of creativity. And, and this appears so very early that now the parent will begin to wonder, this child, give him or her anything, he will not make something out of it. That's the, the natural trait. The natural trait, whether, entrepreneurs are actually, made, is the skill that are developed through education, through mentorship, the one we're giving to you now by making you to do ENT 211, for you to discover yourself and experience, for you to be able to discover the opportunities that are available and how you can exploit this opportunity. And these are equally, equally possible, and are equally, things that you find that can be done. When you look at the natural talent, you look at the Igbo apprenticeship system, which you call Igba Boy, the world's largest business incubator in the entire Nigeria. And when you look at it, many of you that you are Igbo people here, you used to hear, oh, my boy, he said to go and learn trade. When he has finished learning trade, he's going to be settled. That is, people are big, with no capital, from the village. They are nurtured, they are trained through, years of mentorship, serving the master, studying with the master, and at the end of the day, once they finish, they are settled to go and start their own enterprise. In that situation, you've seen that someone who never thought he could become an entrepreneur has actually been properly nurtured. And through the nurturing process, this person has become successful entrepreneur. We see, this is very rampant. It has even become traditional and has become Igbo culture. And that is why today you see an average Igbo person is a trader. Yes, and many of them too are entrepreneurs. At your level, we may not separate between who a trader and entrepreneur is, but someone that is passionate, that has vision for what he's doing and is solving a problem is actually an entrepreneur. So you see that if we're to say that entrepreneurship is 100% natural, then it means that the Igba boy and the system would not have been able to become or to create entrepreneurs. But today, we believe you can see that many of these guys that are not born entrepreneurs have been able to become one by moving through the nurtured process. So it is just we agree that some entrepreneurial traits and characteristics can be natural. We can be born with it, but again, entrepreneurship can be nurtured. And that is why you are having ENT 211 entrepreneurship and innovation to get you nurtured, to get you to discover yourself and be able, to get to, to your journey in life. So, and this is, where you want to look at whether you have entrepreneurial, characteristics, how you want to assess it. You have to assess, how do you know how to seek opportunity? This is very important. How do you seek opportunity? It is something that you pay attention to. What is your risk tolerance? Do you even attempt to ensure that you try your best possible to tolerate risk? How do you do so? How do you is it, or you are risk averse? Once you see risk, you run. So, do you like problem solving? Are you creative? Are you resilient? All of these are the way you assess your entrepreneurial profile. And you can build all of this. It does not really matter that someone is born with it. All of this can actually have been built. And when you look at many, innovators and creative thinkers today, we have them around us. These are people who have produced new products, new services, created new business models. Their thinking is extremely creative. Their thinking is always outside the conventional framework. They do things differently. And creativity involves you having a better idea, and innovation involves you making that better idea a reality. And these are some of the Nigerians that have done this, fantastically. We have today Bolani Austin Peter, who is the CEO and the founder of TerraCulture, who has turned the entirety of Lagos to a kind of creative innovation space. And she's doing amazingly, in the space of art. There's Njoku, Roko TV, that has comfortably today created, a lot of, revolutionary, Nollywood content. Through, distribution and by moving it online, solving piracy and access issues. When you look at, the founder of Flutterwave, Iyoluwa Boyeji and Olubika Agola, who saw the inefficiency in the financial system, and today they built it into becoming a unicorn. And these are all creative, thinker. And I thank you very much, for listening to me. And it is on that note, I will invite my colleague, who is next, and that is Dr. Onoyemi Oluwakemi, who is going to take us through innovation and change. And we put our hands together as we welcome Dr. Onoyemi Oluwakemi. And maybe before I bring Dr. Onoyemi Oluwakemi, do we have anyone that has any question to ask from this our week 1 to 3? Does anyone have any question? Is it properly understood? Put your hands together for yourself and for your tissue. Thank you. Okay, Dr. Oluwakemi, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. So now we are in week 4 and 5, and we'll be talking about innovation and change. By the end of this presentation, you'll be able to define innovation and explain its various dimensions. You should be able to analyze the relationship between knowledge and innovation, and you should be able to apply the principles of change management to entrepreneurial ventures. What then is innovation? Innovation is actually the systematic practice of developing and marketing breakthrough products and services for the adoption by customers. Of course, innovation is successful in the implementation of new ideas that create value. You cannot say you are innovative without creating value. It is actually not just invention. It's not about just inventing a product or a service. It's about making an idea work in the real world. Innovation is also a process of creating and applying new or improved ideas. Not just ideas, you can actually improve your products, you can improve your service, you can even improve your processes, but it must add value. You cannot say you are innovative without successfully adding value. And then it is not just about having ideas. Innovation is not about you coming up with an idea. It's actually about turning those ideas into something impactful, something meaningful and commercially viable. So you cannot say you have successfully innovated a product or a service without commercial viability. So now, in mathematical sense, innovation can be termed to be bringing up of new ideas plus practical application. You should be able to apply what you are innovating, and then plus value creation, which definitely culminates into venture creation. So now, what are the dimensions of innovation? We have different dimensions of innovation. We have the product innovation, which deals with what you sell. Is it a product? It can be a product, it can be a service. It actually refers to the creation of new products or the significant improvement of existing ones in order to meet customers' needs or create new market value. So you cannot say you are innovative without actually trying to create a new product or actually trying to adjust the existing ones into making sure that you meet the customer's needs. It's very important that as an entrepreneur, your focus should be on meeting customers' needs and also creating market value. Then we have the second dimension, which is actually the process innovation. At this stage, this has to do with how you create the value. How do you create this value? This refers to the implementation of new or significantly improved method of production. If you have been doing something, if you have been taking this process before, you can actually innovate in making sure that you create a more efficient or effective way of doing that thing. Number one of the major reasons why you engage in process innovation is to enhance efficiency. Not only that, you can actually try to reduce cost. If the process you have been taking before, if it has actually been taking, for example, 1,000 naira, you can create a new way of doing that thing and reduce to like 500 naira. That is process innovation. It also actually has to improve quality. You can tell, for example, if you have been producing a particular product and you can find new ways to making sure that the quality of that product actually increases. Then also we have the market innovation. This refers to the implementation of new ways of promoting, positioning, pricing, or distributing the products to better reach or satisfy the customers. This definitely, when we talk about market innovation, it talks about how the market or how the product or services is being sold or delivered, basically. Then we have the last one, which is the organizational innovation rather. This is how you structure and manage your company. This has to do with the introduction of new methods in the frame structure, the management practices, the relationship that improve how organizations function and perform. In short, when we want to summarize all of these things I've been saying, product innovation has to do with what is offered. Are you offering the product or are you offering a service? It's about the product or service that you're offering. Then process innovation is how it is being produced. How do you want to produce? You want to you reducing the cost or more efficient or producing more efficient products. That is actually process innovation. Then we have market innovation is actually how this product or service is being sold or delivered. Then we have the organizational innovation, which has to do with how the firm is being structured. For example, I mean, talking about product innovation, we know when piggy-based and cowrie-wise, as against the traditional wooden, what the polo that we have. Gone are those days when we save our money in polo, and then when we, for example, if you are saving like, let's assume you are saving 1 naira every day, and for a whole year, whatever you put in the polo is what you get. But now the piggy-based came up with a very innovative product to say you can actually save with us, and then at the end of the day, you will get interest rates. That means when you save a particular amount, definitely that is not what you're going to meet at the end of the day. There will be interest attached to it. So they have actually brought up new ways to saving, not just it's actually changing how the traditional ways of saving from saving and then seeing what you save to actually having interest or earning interest to your savings. Then process innovation actually, this is changing how a product is created or delivered to lower costs. Like I told you, you have to be able to lower costs. Process has to do with lowering costs or increase speed or increase efficiency. That's actually ways of doing things. But finding new ways to your production, either by the means of lowering costs or trying to create more efficiency. And an example to use in that one is actually Chowdeck or Glovo. Chowdeck and Glovo, we know they are actually logistic companies, and they are brought in. One of those days when if you buy something online and for it to deliver, it can take days. Nowadays, I see lots of global bicycles. They are even using bicycles now for easy delivery. So you cannot say you are in traffic. They have actually tried to, they have brought new ways to making sure that deliveries are more speedy and there's no delay. And then another example of market innovation, if you remember that time that, I don't know if you remember the period where, pick me for example, what the kind of product they have is just the tin pick milk. They don't have the sachet. And they noticed that the economy then was, people were moving to the low income earners. Low income earners couldn't afford the whole thing as a product. So they actually devised a means, they devised another means to making sure that everybody could afford pick. So they brought about having pick me sachet. Pick me sachet. Then if you want to drink tea, you can just buy a sachet and you are good. So that's actually like market innovation, trying to develop new target markets. You know that they are low income earners that might not necessarily be able to afford the thing, so that they are expanding their market by making sure that the low income earners could afford the thing. Then the sachet rather. Then we have the organizational innovation. This is new structures. Example is Andela or tech startups, which brought about the fact that you can actually work from home. Also, this is, I'm sure in like so many years ago, people do not know that they can actually be working from home. So then this Andela and tech startup has actually made it possible. And then by the invention of or the COVID-19 actually made this much more practicable. Now, we cannot talk about innovation without linking it to knowledge. What's it called? Anyone that engages in innovation definitely has adequate knowledge. You cannot say you are innovating without knowledge. So innovation does not actually happen in the vacuum. It doesn't happen on its own. It is definitely fueled by knowledge. And you cannot talk about knowledge without talking about the knowledge management, which is the systematic process of creating, not only creating, sharing, using, and managing an organization's knowledge and information. And we have the pyramid of this knowledge. One pyramid, the first pyramid is the data. The second pyramid has to do with information. The third pyramid is the knowledge itself. And the fourth pyramid is the innovation. I'm going to, for example, it is raw fact, like rice is 80,000 naira per bag. Now, the information is now giving you the context of saying that the reason why the rice went up to 80,000 naira is because of the border closure. Why started going up? Because they closed border. They cannot more import rice. So the little amount of rice we have there is, the price has increased. So now the knowledge, now the application, when we talk about knowledge, we talk about the application. This is now saying, okay, as an innovator, I'm going to switch to selling local rice or maybe looking for more alternatives instead of actually the rice, because now rice is very, very, very much expensive. Then the fourth pyramid is the innovation, which is actually creating value from that knowledge. So as a class, I'm going to call a student to give me another example of the pyramid, of the knowledge pyramid. Give me an example. Tell me the data, tell me the information, the knowledge pyramid, and the innovation pyramid. I'm sure that in Nigeria we have lots of issues that we can actually put or place in this pyramid. So please, do you have any students that can actually do that? Anyone? Anyone?
Using a different case study.
Yes, you can use a different case study.
Okay, so I'm looking at it from the fact that we need software to drive how we work, for instance. So if we now look at it from the aspect of data, we can say, okay, softwares are expensive. And we look at it from the aspect of the application of data. Okay, why still, instead of me still using manual to do what I do, why not use software instead to make it faster and better for me to do? And which is the innovation around it that I can make my work efficient.
Oh, thank you. Then the next one, we're talking about change and innovation. We know that innovation actually brings about change. And a lot of times people are actually very skeptical when it comes to change. They are scared of the change that this change would bring. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. Naturally, humans are actually scared of change. That's why they come up with the devil we know is better than the angel we don't know. And then there are three levels that, there are three, levels of change management. We have number one, the unfreeze. Number two, the change itself. And number three, the refreeze. Now, at this unfreeze stage, this is when you realize the old way. You realize that the old way is more adequate. For example, you realize that kerosene stove is probably dangerous, or even is even much more expensive to use. And then you start bringing up, let's move from the era of kerosene to probably using gas. This is actually at the change itself. And after the change, you now refreeze to the new normal. This is making the new way the habit. Now, all of us are now using gas. I'm sure that very soon somebody is thinking about another best way to making sure that we move from gas maybe to another more sustainable way. Then adapting to external change, we know that there is nothing that is certain. Things change. And for example, we didn't know that COVID-19 was going to happen. We didn't know that now the dollar rate is going to increase. We didn't know that there will be fuel subsidy removal. And most of the time, all of this change actually force innovation. If we are not prepared for it, we must experience it. So a lot of times, all of this change actually happens, and they bring about innovation. People start thinking, like, how do we solve this challenge? So challenges come, and then people start thinking how to solve that particular challenge. A case study of fuel subsidy removal, we can remember in 2023, 2024, at that time, transportation costs actually trickled, and companies shifted to remote work. That's when they said, okay, you can work from at home 2 days and come to the work office 3 days. Then organizations start coming up with star buses, and some mechanics started converting cars to CNG. And change is actually not always voluntary. Sometimes the economy forces you to innovate. And going forward, this is week 6 and 7, which is enterprise formation business plan. We'll be calling on Dr. Udoka. Udofia, yes.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Ekpeyong Udofia, and I'll be taking week 6 and 7, enterprise formation and the business plan. And at the end of this lesson, you're expected to identify the different forms of business ownership in Nigeria, evaluate the advantages and disadvantages of each ownership type, and to develop the outline of a simple business plan. So, what is a business plan? We say business plan serves as a strategic roadmap detailing a company's goals and the methods to achieve them. So in other words, the business plan is what you have laid down and you believe that this is where I am pursuing. It is more or less a strategic think tank. It tells you, okay, this is what I want to achieve in another 10 years, in another 15 years, in another 20 years. It's beyond the fact that, oh, you are creating it for just your investors. A business plan goes beyond just your investors. It's about how you see yourself or where you see yourself in the long term. So it helps you identify the weaknesses early. It helps you identify and align your team. And we also say that you do not need something so comprehensive, because sometimes we are also carried away with how large or how comprehensive the business plan is. You don't need something so comprehensive. You don't need 100 pages, 50 pages. You can have something brief, but make it clear so that you know exactly where you're headed. And we want to look at some of the major components of a simple plan. Number one, we say the executive summary. So your business plan must have an executive summary of all you're trying to say and all you're trying to put together. The company description, what does your company do exactly? You must be able to say this very concisely. So you cannot be doing everything. What exactly is your niche? And, you know, that's what you're trying to sell when you talk about your company description. The business opportunity. In the business plan, you must be able to it in one very simple paragraph exactly what you're trying to achieve in the market. What is that issue in the market that you're seeing and you feel there is a potential in it, that if you create a business around it, you'll make some really good money for yourself and, of course, your investors. I will talk about competitor analysis. This one is also very important. You must understand what makes your competitor. You must look at their weaknesses, and you must be able to state very clearly what makes you stand out. We talk about the USP, your unique selling proposition. What really makes you stand out when you're looking at your competitor analysis? You must be able to say that very clearly when you are dealing and creating a business plan. And next, we talk about our SWOT analysis: strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. So when you're doing your SWOT analysis, state very clearly what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what are the opportunities in the business environment, what are the threats in the business environment. Strengths and weaknesses are on the internal, and your opportunities and your threats are external. Your revenue model: how do you intend to make money? And of course, your financial projection: how will this money grow? What is your prediction and your forecast about your cash flow? Moving forward, we say stage one is the business idea itself, using this simple case study for the laundromat. First, you have the idea: on demand laundry pickup delivery via an app for students. Stage two, you state the problem and the solution. The problem is students waste time, and the solution is you are creating something that brings transparency, and in 48 hours, they get their clothes. Stage three, we talk about the target market. You must be able to tell us what is your target market. In this case study, the target market are the population of the University of Lagos students, which is 15,000 hypothetically. Stage four, we talk about USP, which I mentioned earlier, your unique selling proposition. So student-friendly pricing, pretty much what makes you stand out. You must be able to say this very clearly. What makes you stand out? Why should people leave what they're doing and come to you? Stage five, go to market. Campus ambassador program, targeted Instagram, Facebook ads. So how do you want to put yourself? How will people get to know you? Are you going to use influencers? Are you going to use, regular agency, advertising agencies and all whatnot? Stage six, we talk about your revenue model. You must be able to tell us exactly how you want to make this money. And then finally, stage seven, what are your milestones? In this case, we say in 19 days, we want to launch the app and have at least 200 customers. That is the milestone for this case study. So when you are building your own business plan, you must have a case study or your milestone. You say, okay, fine. In the first 100 days, we want to be able to have 100 customers, or as the case may be. Now we'll talk about forms of business ownership. The first one is sole proprietorship, which is pretty much the easiest and the most popular type of business. Single owner with no legal difference between the owner and the business. So meaning one man owns the business, you run the business, you take all the risk, you take all the profits, you take all the losses. So it is simple to register. It is often called business name. Someone who owns an unincorporated business by himself or herself is a proprietor. So we say the sole proprietorship has no legal identity. Quickly, let's look at limited liability partnerships. This is a structured business blending features of partnerships and corporations, offering partners limited personal liability for business debts and obligations. So in this case, this is a lot more bigger, a lot more structured. At this stage, shareholders are, included. And of course, in limited liability partnership, we also talk about the private limited liability and the public limited liability. The private limited liability are the smaller firms, between 1 to 50 shareholders. And then when you talk about the public limited liability, those are the biggest firms, as the case may be, the Dangotes and the likes. The general partnership is a business arrangement by which two or more individuals agree to share responsibility, assets, profits, and financial and legal liabilities associated with a jointly owned business. So we say these are less expensive to form, unlike the corporation, and are common for small, trusted teams. e.g. a boutique firm run by spouses. So basically most firms started by close friends start in this manner. So you might want to look at this also fall under the forms of business ownership. And then finally, we look at cooperative ownership, which is a business owned and democratically controlled by its members, who are also its customers, workers, or producers. Co-op focuses on meeting shared economic, social, and cultural needs rather than just profits. So in this case, mostly people who form this kind of businesses, they have something in common. For instance, you are students of the University of Lagos. In the University of Lagos, the staff of the University of Lagos can form a cooperative ownership. Usually, they always have something like that in common at the beginning. Now, quickly, let's compare all these types of businesses. We talk about sole proprietorship, general partnership, limited liability, and the cooperative. And if you look at it, you see that liability at sole proprietorship is unlimited. Now, unlimited liability, in a nutshell, means if you owe me as a business, I can come to you personally and take what belongs to you. That's what unlimited liability means. So the business owes the person and the business cannot pay, then the individual will go and pick it up. And we'll look at the key disadvantages: personal risk, under general partnership, potential for conflict, and shared personal risk. Okay, we look at cooperatives. The liability varies and can be slow to decide. And at this point, I would like to move forward to our week 8 and 9 as I introduce my colleague, Mr. Kufre Monday.
Thank you very much. My name is Kufre Monday, and I'll be taking the next course, Business Registration. Now, there are thousands and millions of businesses in Nigeria operating without registration, but this is an abnormality because understanding the structure of your business and the legal status of your business separates you, gives the difference between you and your business. Now, registering your business separates the owner from the business. The two become two legal entities. My colleague made mention of something that if your business is being sued and your business is not registered, you as the owner of the business is the one that is being sued. So what are the advantages of registering your business? Number one, it gives your business a legal identity. It builds trust. It gives you the opportunity to enter into legal contracts, open bank accounts, and engage in government contracts. Now, one of the most important things you must take now in this aspect is the aspect of legal identity. When you run, for example, if a restaurant business owner faces a legal battle, someone comes into the restaurant, eats food, and he becomes sick. If the person decides to pursue legal, take the case to a court, if the business is not registered, the owner of the business will face legal liability. But if the business is registered, it's the business that will stand trial. So you, as an educated business person, you should not run away from registering your business. So let's move to the process of business registration. Now I'll run you through the process of getting your business registered. The first step is for you to choose and reserve your name. You could go to the corporate affairs portal, you see the ICPR portal, register your name, choose and reserve your name. You should have 2 or 3 alternative names. The second step is for you to complete your pre-registration form. The form is called CAC BN01 form. You will see it there when you log in. Submit your details online. It could be your name, your address, your pictures, and all the information that will be demanded of you. Then the next step is for you to pay the prescribed fee online. Then you submit and wait for approval, which the registrar of the CAC will go through your details and provide you with the status of your registration. Now, the next aspect of this lesson is the common pitfalls that you must avoid. Now, don't skip the name search process. So sometimes you have a beautiful business name. You could say nobody has come up with this beautiful name, but you might be mistaken. Someone somewhere has already registered that name. So for you to avoid that, you should have 2 or 3 backup names and make a thorough search before registering a particular name. Number 2 is to provide accurate information. You are going into business for the long term. You do not know who you will get in touch with. You do not know who you will do business with in the future. So providing accurate information saves you a lot of time and troubles in the future. The next pitfall to avoid is do not forget to register for your TIN. That is your tax identification number. That is also handled by the CAC registration portal, but is being processed by the tax agencies. Number 3 is do not avoid deadlines. You are asked to pay default fee after 8-day grace. So let's move to the next slide. Now, when you come up with a big idea, sometimes you have this big idea, lucrative, commercially viable. You may not have the necessary resources, the capability, the technical know-how, or the experience to bring this business idea into the market. What do you do at this stage? Should you abandon such a beautiful idea? The answer is definitely no. Yeah, you have different types of platform to bring that ideas into life. And that is the aspect of business collaboration. The first aspect is you could go into partnership, that is have a legal business arrangement between 2 or more people, combine resources, share responsibility, share risks, and then share the profits. Now, my colleagues have walked you through the different types of partnerships and what it entails: general partnership, limited partnership, and limited liability partnership. You should go study them in-depthly so that you identify and understand what the differences are and which of this partnership type suits your particular need. Another avenue you could bring your business into life is strategic alliance. Now, strategic alliance is a formal business arrangement between 2 or more independent companies that come together to pursue mutually beneficial goals, such as increasing access to market, developing new technology, or developing or enhancing their competitive advantage. This strategic alliance is usually needed when there is so much resources and experience that is required to go into a particular field of business. It could be a form of between, let's say, for example, GT Bank coming into collaboration with Access Bank to launch a particular business program that they alone cannot implement. So coming into alliance with Access Bank, they link their resources, they join their resources, they join their experience to bring that particular business into life. Now, another aspect is joint venture. Now, joint venture is a type of strategic alliance that 2 firms can create a new and jointly owned separate legal entity. Now, the difference between strategic alliance and joint alliance is that the first one, the business might not be new. The business might not be jointly new, but jointly owned. But in joint venture, you have a new business that is jointly owned by two independent partners. Like I mentioned the first example. So when GT Bank and Access Bank come into a joint venture, they jointly own such a business. Now, the popular joint ventures we have in Nigeria is Shell and NNPC coming to explore oil in the upstream and downstream sector. Now, at your level, you might not be able to enter into any of these business collaboration we have discussed. The one that you might be able to engage in is networking. This type of collaboration is an informal type of business arrangement, relationship, connections with your colleagues, your friends, or professionals, mentors who have gone ahead of you, understand the terrain better than you. You can have an informal arrangement with them and share your idea, and then the two of you or more can come into partnership to form a particular business. Now let's compare this collaboration type. I will run through it very sharply. Now, the feature of strategic alliance, formality, strategic alliance, it is formal. In partnership, it is formal. In networking, it is informal. So the legal identity in strategic alliance, no new entity is formed, like I stressed earlier, but in joint venture, a new legal identity is formed. And then in networking, since networking is informal, no new entity is required. So I'll move down straight to risks and control. In strategic alliance, you have greater flexibility and control. And in partnership, you have shared management responsibility and shared liability and taxes. And then in joint venture, you pool resources together, you share risks and the cost of bringing that business into the market. And then in networking, you have very minimal financial risks that is involved. Now, let's look at the 4 simple steps of making your networking to work. Before you go into networking, you must understand what do you need to achieve. Are you looking for capital to start up a business? Are you looking for mentorship? Understanding this goal means that you know where to go to look for what you actually want to achieve. And then you have to identify the venue where you meet the type of people, the type of resources you are looking for. You could get them online, especially on LinkedIn, on Twitter, or you could get them offline in tech hubs, people that are hosting business competition. And then how you have to maintain and nurture relationship. One thing with people is that there are some people, they only communicate with people when they need something. In such situation, they will see you as a parasite when you only communicate when you need something. So in making your networking to function and properly, you have to nurture the relationship, make contact frequently, communicate, ask questions, and even offer value. The last aspect is to engage productively. Don't just collect card. Offer value, whatever good thing you can do for someone to exchange for what they are looking for. That is also important when you are in the networking space. So this brings this lesson to a conclusion, and we'll move to the next lesson.
Next question.
Hello, class. In this lecture, we'll be looking at the importance of micro and also the importance of small enterprise. You'll be able to understand and define what a micro or small enterprise is. You must be able to also understand how to identify the characteristics of micro and small enterprise in your community. And you'll be able to distinguish between micro and small enterprise and know the roles and importance of micro and small businesses in wealth creation, employment, financial independence, and poverty reduction. Let's define what a microenterprise is. A microenterprise is a very small business operation that employs a minimal number of people and operates with low capital investment. It is often owner-managed and may be informal in nature. And most of the students in the University of Lagos operate a micro-enterprise because it's small in nature, it involves starting with a small capital, and it's often managed by the person who has the business. Let's look at World Bank in 2020. They define micro-enterprise as firms with fewer than 10 employees. So once you have a business and the employees are less than 10, then you know that it is a micro-enterprise. Then to come to Nigeria, SMIDAN, also called Small and Medium Enterprise Development Agency of Nigeria, in 2017 defined microenterprise as a business with less than 10 employees and with total assets. And that total asset exclude land and building. That's the structure you have. If you have a place to be able to set up a building, it excludes it, and it must not exceed 5 million naira. So let's look at the characteristics of microenterprise, because when we understand what a microenterprise is, we also need to know the characteristics of a microenterprise. One is low startup capital. Oftentimes, you need minimal financial investment to start and operate a small enterprise. Apart from that, it's owner dependent. That means the business is largely owned and managed by the person or persons who set up the business. So students, if you set up a business, you're doing what is called a owner-dependent management of your business. Then informal business structure. Oftentimes, a small and micro business, is always very, very small, and it's always informal in nature. You don't need to register it because you just started. It is as it grows, you now register it. And even if you register, it will not be a full registration because it's still a micro business. Apart from that, you have limited use of technology. Apart from firms, small micro enterprise that you start up, that you are tech in nature, oftentimes you use tools or even manual process to run your business. You don't often use the advanced technology to operate or run your business. Then it has restricted market coverage. Oftentimes, this type of business or enterprise operates in local community. So any businesses you see in Unilag campus operating very small is a local enterprise, and it's also community-based within the Unilag community. They will also have limited access to credit. Micro-enterprise is difficult to obtain loans from the bank. Most times, if you want to operate this business, you need financial capital from family and friends who will support you, or you apply for grants, and oftentimes it has to do with pitching your business, and investors may be able to give you grants if you're successful. Let's look at the examples of micro-enterprise. There are different examples of micro-enterprise categorized into 6. We have the retail and trading micro-enterprise, which involves provision stores and neighborhood mini shops. Those people who are involved in selling and phone gadgets and accessories also fall under this category. The point of sales agents businesses also fall under this category. Then small-scale online vendors who use the Instagram, WhatsApp, and Facebook fall under the retail and trading micro-enterprise. And another category is the food and beverage micro-enterprise, which involves the local food vendors or the bukaterias, just like we have in Mama Puts here, which is called Yamoria, that serves us. That falls under the food and beverage micro-enterprise within Unilag campus. Then we have small bakeries that produce bread and pastries. If you go to the Unilag Mall, where the ShopRite Center, where they sell things, you always see some vehicles coming to distribute bread, which you all buy every day to eat. This fall under the food and beverage micro-enterprise. Then we have small catering and home-based food services that can do delivery to you students when you have your student events on campus. The third one is the service-based micro-enterprise, which involve hairdressing salon, barbing salon, fashion designing and tailoring, laundry and dry cleaning outlets. Then the manufacturing and craft micro looks at the local sales, soap production, detergent producers, and more. We also have the ICT and creative micro enterprise, which involves graphic design businesses, social media management service, and others. And we have the agricultural base that are involved in poultry farm with small stock size, fish farming, and vegetable and crop farming. Let's look at the definition of small now. We've known the definition of micro and the characteristics of micro. So let's look at the definition of small enterprise. Small enterprise, according to Smida, defines it as an enterprise with 10 to 49 employees with total asset between 5 million and 49 million, excluding again land and building. While the World Bank defined a small enterprise as a firm that employs 10 to 49 people. And others also define it. OECD, as the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, also describes small enterprise as firm that employs fewer than 50 people and operates within limited resources compared to larger firms. What are the characteristics of small enterprise? They have a moderate capital base. They are formal because they have to register their business under CAC, as we have taught you. So it's formal in nature, in operation. It also have a structured management system, and always need for bookkeeping, record keeping in operations. They also have a better access to finance. They can seek for loan in the bank to expand the businesses. And they have a wider market coverage. They make use of technology, and their productivity level is also very high. And they must seek to grow their business and expand their business beyond the level they do up to medium-sized enterprise. And they're also employers of labor because they recruit up to 49 staff. And they have a lower business mortality rate, and they must comply to labor and tax laws. So what are the types? We've given types of micro enterprise. We have the production and craft small enterprise. We have shoemaking, have farm furniture carpentry, soap and detergent production, bead making, and in service-oriented, we have hairdressing, barbing salon. In retailing, we have small grocery. They're almost the same thing with the micro, but what differentiates them is the number of employees and the capital base that they use in setting up the business. Then apart from that, we also have small-scale production processing firm, service-oriented firm, trade and commerce enterprise. Then in the digital sector, we have ICT and digital small enterprise, hospitality and tourism, where they focus on hotel and guest houses, restaurant and catering service, travel and tour agency. And in the agricultural sector, they look at commercial farming, not just small farming, but agricultural farming, and processing firm that processes most of the agricultural products like rice milling, cassava processing, and more. Now, to be able to distinguish between them, we've talked about what is and what is small, and we'll be able to put them in a table so you'll be able to see the difference between them. While micro has less than 10, small has 10 to 49 employees. While micro has small, moderate capital investment, small also has the same thing because they are almost similar. Then they operate with less than 5 million, while in small, they operate up to 49 million. Micro is always sole proprietor in nature, that is family owned by the person who owns the business, who sets up the business. While in small enterprise, it can be sole proprietorship and it can also be partnership. Micro enterprise are informal, limited registration, while in small enterprise, they have to register formally under the CAC. Apart from that, micro enterprise has limited scalability, but small enterprise are more stable and sustainable. They grow. They must have the potential to grow and expand and not just stay as small enterprise, but they must move from medium to large enterprise. Then, while micro enterprise have pro or informal records, small enterprise must ensure that they have the basic structure of accounting records for record keeping. Then we look at the importance of both of them under wealth creation and employment generation. They are both important. They enable individuals to generate income through ownership of products and assets. They also support capital accumulation and reinvestment at the household and community level. They encourage entrepreneurship and venture creation across various sectors of the economy. Micro and small businesses also promote inclusive economic growth by distributing wealth broadly. And they're a major source of wealth job creation, especially in developing economy. They absorb unskilled, semi-skilled, and skilled labor. And they'll provide employment opportunities for youth, women, and vulnerable groups, thus reducing the pressure on the public sector and large firms to create businesses. Another importance is that they provide self-employment and income autonomy. They reduce dependency on salaried employment and government support. They enable individuals to manage personal and household finance independently. They also foster a culture of saving, investment, and financial responsibility. And they create livelihood opportunities in rural and urban areas. And they increase the household income and purchasing power. And one important thing they do is that they support community development and improve living standard. So I'll call on Professor Debisi to take us our next class, which involves contemporary issues in entrepreneurship.
Thank you very much, colleagues and class. And I do hope that we've enjoyed this, class so far up to week 12 and 13. We're just moving in now to close with these contemporary issues in entrepreneurship. And because we've actually had all the knowledge that are very important for us, I'll just move through this very quickly so that we can just end this class. And when we talk about contemporary issues, it's important for us to understand knowledge and its types. When you talk about knowledge in entrepreneurship, it's talking about the information, the understanding, and the expertise that the entrepreneur we acquire through his education, his training, and experience for them to be able to identify opportunity we talked about the other time and make informed decisions so that they can manage their businesses. So when we talk about two types of knowledge, at every point in time, two ways and manner to acquire knowledge. Number one is what we call the tacit knowledge. Tacit knowledge is in what you have actually gone through or what you have experienced before or what you have seen. And at times it comes from your intuition. There's what we call the explicit knowledge. And that is knowledge that can be codified and that can be documented and can be easily shared, which may be, knowledge acquired from the education and a structured education as the case may be. Therefore, entrepreneurial knowledge, what are their types? When we say you have entrepreneurial knowledge, then market knowledge. What understanding do you have about customer need? Financial knowledge. That is to say, do you know how to budget? Do you know how to cost? Do you know how to do your pricing? That again is very important as a knowledge to be garnered. And technical knowledge is equally a core entrepreneurial knowledge. That is, what is the knowledge about the product or service development? How can you, create product, create service, innovate product, as that's technical knowledge. And that's what we call the legal knowledge. That is to say, do you know the law and regulation actually guiding, the enterprise or the startup you actually, want to create? So, again, skills are new conventional areas that are very important, in entrepreneurship. And then we talk about entrepreneurial skills. And entrepreneurial skills are your practical abilities and that competencies that will allow you to apply your knowledge effectively to be able to create innovation, to be able, to create that, to harness that opportunity that you have talked about. Then the skill of planning, the skill of organizing, the skill of managing resources, the skill of solving problems, the skill of communication. These are what you need to actually, sustain your businesses as the case may be. Therefore, the entrepreneurial, skills are that capability that you are going to acquire to be able to perform your entrepreneurial task. Because don't forget, we talk about opportunity recognition, we talk about networking, which is relationship building. You're going to take decision of whether to take risk or not to take risk. And there are some skills that are very important. What are these skills? And these skills are equally, a fourfold. We have what we call the managerial skills. And these skills are more or less most of the time very important that we call the entrepreneurial soft skills. So we have the managerial skills, which involve planning, organizing, and controlling. As an entrepreneur, this is very important for you to be able to deliver. Communication and negotiation. You are going to work with suppliers, you are going to work with buyers, and you are the producer of either product or services. You are going to engage in what? In negotiation. You're going to negotiate your input, you're going to negotiate the price that you want the wholesaler to sell on behalf of your firm or company. It's important. Problem solving and decision making skills. Oh wow, you're going to solve human problem, you're going to solve customer problem, you're going to solve even societal problem, even where you're working, where you're producing or where you're doing your business. There will be many problems that will arise from that area, and that we need to take decision about. And digital and technological skills. These have become number one today when we talk about, acquiring the entrepreneurial soft skill. Because today, any entrepreneurial orientation or activity that does not have technical components is not going to have the opportunity really, you understand, to thrive. So, it's not going to have the opportunity to actually thrive. So, So again, we have the technical skills. So we have the technical skills, we have the financial, budgeting skills. So budgeting skills, marketing skills, and this strategic, skills. All of these are important, for us to acquire as skills, as the case may be. So for you to become an expert entrepreneur, your technical skill is very important. Your financial and budgeting skills too. These are now called hardcore skills. They are very important. Your marketing skills are important. Your strategic skills are important. Your personal and creative skills are quite important to become an expert entrepreneur. So then you ask yourself the question, what role will knowledge and skill play in entrepreneurship? Why do you need to acquire knowledge? Why do you need to acquire skills? If you do not acquire this, it becomes difficult for you to do what? For opportunity recognition. Because it is knowledge that will help you to understand what is even a gap to be filled. Innovation and creativity. It is knowledge and your skill you are going to use at the end of the day to understand how to create, new product or modify new product. And at the end of the day, it is the knowledge that will support, whether your research or idea generation or technological adoption. Efficient resource management. You need adequate knowledge to know how to judiciously use resources. So it is important for you to be able to efficiently use resources. There are some people, even in your hostel that you are living, when some of you now, during the period that is close to exam, many of you are so broke. But people that understand the knowledge and have the skill of efficient resource management understand that during examination, I'm going to eat more because I am going to belabor the brain. And by belaboring the brain, I am going to be hungry. Therefore, I need not to waste my pocket money at the first 2 months when I enter school. So I must not live large. I should wait until when I need all the protein and energy to read for my examination. That is knowledge, about efficient use of resources. And that's a skill that, an entrepreneur needs to manage his capital. Effective business planning, you need financial knowledge for you to be able to know how to really know how to manage your costs, how to reduce, your overhead to ensure the fact that profitability can happen. Financial performance and sustainability. That is one of the things, that knowledge, we aid in helping your business to plan very well, to do, market analysis, feasibility study, so that at the end of the day, you can understand the language of the market. So again, you see, adoption of digital technology, it is knowledge that will enable you to know the relevant digital tool to use. It is knowledge that will help you in your risk management and decision making. Because it is knowledge that will improve your assessment of business risk. Because we have said entrepreneur must take risk, but entrepreneur must not take reckless risk. How do you differentiate between a good risk and a bad risk? Then it is knowledge is important. Ethical and sustainable entrepreneurship, the knowledge of laws and ethics, we promote responsible business, conduct. And it is your skill, it is the skill that will support implementation of such sustainable, entrepreneurship. Continuous learning and adaptability. When you acquire knowledge, it's going to support lifelong learning and planning and help you, to continue to create and recreate. And when you have that when you have skill, it supports the continuous learning too, because adaptability is easy for you and you are able to plan everything, you need to do. So today, something is important as we are closing: digital entrepreneurship. There are no two ways about it today. Any entrepreneurship orientation that does not respect, the digital involvement and inclusion does not, have a future. Today, anything can be traded online and can be bought online. Therefore, it is important for you to understand what is digital entrepreneurship. It is a creation, development, and growing your business venture through the use of what technology. Can we echo it together? It is what? Creation, development, and growth of business venture through what? The use of digital technology. That is what digital entrepreneurship is. And creation of new venture and transformation of existing business through development of novel digital technology. It is important for us to know that digital entrepreneurship will rely on digital platform, digital artifact, digital infrastructure to create value. Example of digital businesses today in Nigeria is e-commerce. The online retail store Jumia, Konga, Amazon, which is global, Slot, which is here. And digital services enterprises like online education platform, like Coursera, like LinkedIn, like Udemy. Like I mentioned the other time, the one that is in this university that is locally made, WaterSam, that started from analog into going into digital. Software as a service, Zoom, Dropbox, Google, and Slack. All these are digital businesses. Digital media services, that is subscription-based, like, Netflix and Disney. All these are digital enterprises. Podcasting platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube channels, all these are huge enterprises that are run on digital platforms. What of digital health businesses, telemedicine platform, wellness are online pharmacy services. All of you today that you are listening to me, you are in engineering, you are in chemistry, you are in music, you are in creative art, you are in architecture, you are in business administration, you are in education, you are in home economics. You can see that there is nothing you cannot apply, digital entrepreneurship into. And in this age and time, in this 21st century, if you do not understand digital entrepreneurship, whatever startup you create will never last. That is it. So that's why this content is so very important. Digital finance businesses like online banking, payment, cryptocurrency, exchange, PayPal, Flutterwave, OPay, MoneyPoint, all these are digital financial enterprises, and are quite important for you to understand. So, and like we have said, a sample of digital technology that you can use to enhance, your enterprise or your businesses: internet and cloud computing, computers, smartphone and tablet. Many of us, we have our smartphone and we are on 10 social media handles. We move from Twitter to WhatsApp, from WhatsApp to name them students, name them for me. TikTok, from TikTok to Snapchat, Instagram, WhatsApp, and you just continue to burn your data and burn your energy. And these are technological tools are sufficient for you to become a multimillionaire, to start businesses on. Software application and mobile app, many of us that we know we can code, e-commerce platform, social media and digital marketing tools, social media and digital marketing, tools, artificial intelligence and data analytics. There are no two ways about it today. Artificial intelligence has come to stay, and it is enhancing, enterprises, and you can deploy, and financial technology too, which is what fintech. So, like we have said, e-commerce platform is very relevant for you to build your entrepreneurship growth, financial and accounting tools. You can see the mobile payment system, communication and collaboration to Zoom. Like I mentioned that data analytics, that is Google Analytics, the customer relationship system, and productivity and project management tools, Trello, Asana, Notion. All of this will help you to manage tasks, time, and resources effectively. As we are telling you to begin to venture into creation of enterprises, we're saying that a smart student of the University of Lagos who is doing ENT 211 and who is equally doing EPIC, all through your years to get you built, you can't start any business, even if it is to sell Gary and not. You must ensure the touch of digital technology, and digital entrepreneurship today is the thing. So, the impact of digital technology on entrepreneur, for sure. That is what can make you to scale. That is what can make you to get there. It will improve your market access. There's what we call born global. At your level that may be too big. What born global means is that you give birth to a company today that you are giving birth to it in Canada. Somebody can begin to patronize you. That same day in Kenya, somebody can begin to patronize. That's what you call born global. If you give birth to any startup today and it's not a born global, it will be, you may not really have a future. So it reduces geographical barrier. There is cost reduction and efficiency. It lowers your operational cost. You can see your laptop can be your office, can be, your channel of sending things. The laptop can become your bank. The laptop can become, your cash book. And just that can, will reduce so many things for you. Innovation and new business models support a development of digital product, and it enhances customer engagement. You can engage with thousands of customers and create community for your product. Financial inclusion and access to capital. It gives you opportunity to be able to access even finance easily, and it makes payment easy for as many people as possible that actually, your customer. Scalability and business growth. As a matter of fact, to scale rapidly, technology is the #1 platform. You want to scale rapidly, you want to move from servicing 10 customers to 10,000 within 1 week. It is technology that can do that for you. And the increment is so huge that at times, you begin to wonder how is this possible? And that is what technology does for you. Another, technology tool that is very important is called the virtual office. The virtual office is that business solution that allows, you as an entrepreneur or organization to operate remotely by getting digital services from someone who is ready to provide it, or you are the one that you're actually providing that digital services, for someone, remotely, and you are earning money for that. And you don't necessarily need a physical office space. And what are the key features? Have a registered business address, mail handling and forwarding, that is your email, virtual receptioning, that probably will be able to answer, call for services, online meeting tools like Zoom, and cloud-based collaborating tools, like Google Workspace. That's all you need to know to create a virtual office. And you can equally, you can create it as an enterprise, and you can even operate as, as a virtual officer to companies in Europe, in America, and then anywhere. So that is another enterprise creation tool today that is very important. Online networking is equally a digital entrepreneurship tool. And the use of internet, to enable creation and exchange of user-generated content and to facilitate interaction. So online networking will now involve social interaction, relation building through digital mediated network that transcend time and space constraint. That is to say, it does not really matter. You can, today we talk about networking, going to meetings, meeting people. You can network through different kind of community. You can go into the community of people that are using, Google, even let's say, they're using, a Google a network, a networking space, and you are in there, you meet millions of people in the world. And there it is possible for you to, what are you doing in Atlanta? Oh, is it possible for my business, for anybody to have interest in my business? Somebody is answering you, oh, yes. Yes, I have heard today, before, a Nigeria, Agbada dressing, and I would like to get us like and showcase it in Atlanta. And then, before you start Jacobson, then, the online digital tool or a platform, we get to connected with different kind of people, different kind of professional, different kind of, people that can buy your product. And at the end of the day, you begin to do what? By not leaving Nigeria, you have the opportunity of having customers everywhere in the world, and you can begin, to service them. And so the virtual office, importance of it, that is remote working, remote support, how important, this is. Like we said, entrepreneurship, can recruit skilled professionals remotely, either to help them to increase access or to create, new businesses. So access to global talent. So it gives, them opportunity to recruit globally. Cost efficiency. It reduces startup and operational costs. So you don't even need to hire the accountant. The accountant is in Ghana and is supporting you with 3 hours every week, and it can do all you want him to do. Flexible and work-life balance, because it allows you to not to just be going to work almost every day, and it gives an opportunity, of flexible working arrangement. Professional business presence. At every point in time, you understand, at least one can, because you have a business address, online, and someone, can be able to communicate with you, and they know it may not necessarily be a big office space that is on the mainland, but your laptop, you have that physical office, but you have an email that you can be reached through, and all of this, gives you, all the opportunity and the benefit, for you to run your business. And scalability and business growth. It is easy for you to open your businesses in 20 countries without employing any one permanent staff. And then the virtual office, will help you to expand your business, very quickly. So we've talked about electronic commerce the other time. It's part of digital entrepreneurship. You could say Konga, you could say Temu, you could say, Jumia. Many of you today, everything you buy is on Temu. We are all consumer. Why can't you create one? You can create one within the university system, and everybody is buying things, on the university system platform. And before you could say Jack Robinson, it becomes something that is very, great. So, similarly, online networking has its own importance to entrepreneurship, like just the same, access to business opportunity, resource mobilization, knowledge sharing and learning, innovation and collaboration, and market visibility. That's what networking, online networking does for you. Market visibility. You are known everywhere in the world. This digital tool in your hand, your TikTok, can make you to be known all over the world. You can collaborate on TikTok. You can collaborate on WhatsApp group, rather than using it, alone, just to gist and to gossip. That does not bring any benefit. So, type of e-commerce before we close. When we talk about this e-commerce, there are different types of it. There are ways and manner, that you can create it, or you can use it, or you apply it to your own business. That's what we call business to customer, which is always called B2C. It is when, business is able to sell product directly to an individual, and you come online and you can do so. Today, many businesses come on Jumia or on Amazon or Konga to register their own businesses, and right away from that platform, customer can reach them directly and they can sell, which you call, B to customer. And there is B2B, businesses to what? To business. That is where, businesses sell their product or service to other businesses that probably will use that. It could be digital platform today, that it could be software as a service or as subscription that, Amazon, Alibaba, all of them, they do. And the same business will be the one that will subscribe to and the software that you have created for them to use it, to do their own business. We call that, B2B. What of consumer to consumer? Consumer to consumer, where individual that are got is good, he has used the good before, and they want to resell the same good. He is not a business person. There are platforms today that's available, Facebook Marketplace, eBay. You carry your use at Tesco, and you come back to that say, and you want to sell to another customer. You are not the one that actually made it the Tesco, but you were the one that bought it as consuming, and you want somebody again, you can create that kind of platform. When people take, for example, let me give you this example. When people are leaving university, when they are graduating, many things that they brought to school, they don't want to take it back home. In the fury of graduation that I don't need, they don't abandon many of them in the hostel, and many of those things are wasted, many of those things are thrown away, many of those things are big. You can imagine if you create a platform. Therefore, every graduating student to come in to sell to incoming on their level, who will need some of those things, and you take what do you call it? A commission on that. That can become is e-commerce, consumer to business. A situation where individual offer product or service to businesses. You understand, freelancer offering services on Upwork, influencer promoting brand, and you say, okay, I am an influencer. I can begin to promote your business so that people can begin to buy. I don't register. I have not registered my any business. I'm just an influencer that is known because I sing, and that is not consumer to business. What of business to government? You understand that this you can create today. Business as software as a service for government organization, for them to be able to do what they're doing, like online procurement portal, e-tendering payment system, e-governance system. You can do that, and government will, do that, take that from you. Government to consumer. That is, when you look at e-visa, when you look at tax, the tax portal, the e-tax, all of these are the possibility and types of e-commerce. My question to you, my student, the reason why we're teaching you entrepreneurship is for you to be able to create one of these. My question to you today is, are you just going to be the consumer of e-commerce, or you'll be part of the players on the e-commerce platform? And that will become your own question. So you can apply this e-commerce strategy to entrepreneurship in different ways. So in different ways, you can develop an online presence. You can choose the right e-commerce model, you really want to use, or the one you want to adopt, or the one you want to create. And you can equally implement, secure online payment system, and you can equally focus on digital marketing strategy. All of these are all, possibility. You can optimize your customer experience, by, through user friendly design that can improve customer satisfaction, depending on if you have created one or you want to be one of the person that will be creating this. Yours will be data analytics. So create, data analytics platform that can help even, startup to be able to analyze their performances or, as the case may be. Entrepreneurial opportunity in e-commerce. This is good. These entrepreneurial opportunities are limitless. AI-enabled e-commerce solution is there. Sustainable and green commerce is there. Local to global export platform. All these are all entrepreneurial opportunities in e-commerce as it's there for you to grab. Digital marketplace for services. You can build it, you can create it. Mobile commerce, m-commerce is an opportunity. Affiliate marketing is an opportunity. Social commerce is an opportunity. Subscription-based e-commerce is an opportunity. Drop shipping business is an opportunity. Online retail marketplace and niche store. All of these are still great opportunities that you can build, that you can, create a platform that will aggregate many people and meet together, so that at the end of the day, you can be better off, as someone that at least you believe that you have actually come to University of Lagos, understood entrepreneurship and innovation, and you have actually created one. It is very important for us to know that this course is meant to turn all of us, the people in chemistry to chemipreneurs, the people in engineering to engineers, and the people, in architecture to archipreneur. And more importantly, too, is the fact that it's just one of the little things you are going to do, because you have the ABIC platform that you are going to run all through your year 2, 3, 4, if you are doing 5 years, to the extent that you can be able to win, a very good and big grant before you leave University of Lagos. We thank you very much for listening to this lecture. We will be expecting you. I will be expecting you for sure to prepare very well for your examination, and for sure, this is a course that has actually taught you and it bringing to you the possibility of turning all your discipline into profitable business venture. University of Lagos is huge today. On entrepreneurship, beyond this ENT, there are other ABIC courses that you'll be taking on the ABIC platform. Once you finish your examination on the ABIC platform, this ABIC platform is going to be part of your journeys in University of Lagos, and you stay on that ABIC platform. I wish you the very best, and I want to thank my colleague who have joined me in actually, providing this lecture for you today. My colleague, Dr. Catherine Elo. Can we put our hands together for Dr. Catherine Elo? Yeah. My colleague, Dr. Oluwakemi Onoyemi. Can we put our hands together for? My colleague, that is Dr. Udofia Ekpeyo. Can you put our hands together for? My other colleague, that is Monte Kufre. Can we put our hands together for? And this class would not have been much more beautiful for us to create this this teaching manual for 200 level students in University of Lagos without all of you that you have been here today to listen to us, to be part of this class, so that the students themselves can enjoy it by the time this video is sent to them. Please put your hands together for yourself to all the volunteers. Thank you very much, and we want to thank the Vice Chancellor of this great university, Professor Olashade Ogunshola, for the great support that has been provided for entrepreneurship to thrive in the University of Lagos. And may I let you know, before I close, that entrepreneurship has become the central focus of University of Lagos. And many of the University of Lagos students now are winning big. Recently, 8 students of University of Lagos has won 50 million naira each in the student venture grant, capital grant, sponsored by federal government. And this is available for you. We have the Byte Business Innovation and Talent Expression that give minimum of 2 million naira to someone who has an idea, who can pitch it, so that you can now have all of these things we have mentioned. It's possible for you to create the business job you want to do before leaving University of Lagos. Yes, the ball is your court, and we have done our bit. Thank you very much for having us. I wish you good preparation for your examination ENT 211. We shall soon be telling you and send to you how you want to do that. But for sure, you are going to write your examination on the ABIC platform. ENT 211 examination will be written on the ABIC platform, and details will be sent to you. Thank you very much. See you by April 9th. But make sure that you listen well to this lecture. Thank you very much.